We have tackled many strange stories on 60 Minutes, but perhaps none like this.
Here to discuss, Lou Elizondo, former director of the Pentagon's Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program.
UFOs have captivated the public interest for decades, but they've always been dismissed, including by me, as the province of wackos.
Lou Elizondo is a former military intelligence official and currently works with the Stars Academy and the History Channel, and he joins us now.
My name is Lou Elizondo. For nearly the last decade, I ran a sensitive aerospace threat identification program. It was in this position I learned that the phenomena is indeed real.
I somehow managed to leapfrog
And now, as a member of
or
To the
is
Stars
something
Academy,
completely
None of them
new
have
and
obvious
and I think it's
explanations.
important.
These are aircraft, apparently, that are moving in ways that appear to violate physics, that are flying very differently from any aircraft ever
It
observed,
demonstrates that
and
the U.S.
way
government has
faster than
actually
any
indeed been
plane
dealing with this
we
issue
know
for over
100
70 years.
What is this?
And that's a little
Well, we
bit
don't know,
problematic,
because for some
because if we
reason-
say this is foreign adversarial technology, we know that the Russians
On October 14th, 2017, Lou Daniel Elizondo IV stepped on stage in Seattle, Washington, announcing to the world that the UFO phenomenon was real.
it was in this position I learned that the phenomena is indeed real.
Lou would instantly rise to the top of the UFO subculture, being backed by a global media campaign labeling him as a Pentagon UFO whistleblower. Previous to this day, no one outside of the military intelligence community, a few politicians, and a close-knit circle of defense industry contractors had ever heard of the name Lou Elizondo. Very little is known about Mr. Elizondo beyond the biography that is listed on his website at louiselizondoofficial.com. There remain to this day some very serious and alarming unanswered questions about Lou, his background, and his claims. Every piece of evidence obtained in the making of this documentary was located during a thorough search of public records available on the internet. While such information is considered public, I have gone to great lengths to protect the privacy of every individual mentioned in this piece, while only including information that is entirely relevant in an attempt to answer the question of, who's Lou?
There it is, that freaky
Hello,
noise.
I'm Tom DeLong, and thanks for joining us live today. So I want you to all meet Lou Elizondo.
Well, thanks, Tom, for that very special introduction. My name is Lou Elizondo, and as a career intelligence officer, I am accustomed to being involved in close-hold, nuanced programs involving national security. This includes being a counterintelligence special agent, a case officer, and an intelligence practitioner. However, by far the most interesting effort I was involved with was the topic of advanced aerial threats. For nearly the last decade, I ran a sensitive aerospace threat identification program focusing on unidentified aerial technologies. It was in this position I learned that the phenomena is indeed real.
Navigating to louiselizondoofficial.com. Lou Elizondo, former senior intelligence official, disclosure advocate, national security expert, former director.
And that is a good introduction to who's Lou, for anyone who is curious.
What you were just watching is a piece of my guest here, Manny, who is he's Area 503 on Twitter. If you guys want to go and follow him at Real Area 503, and he's also on YouTube, I believe, under Area 503 as well.
Yep, on Area 503 on YouTube and Twitter.
Yep. So make sure you go and subscribe to his YouTube channel if you're not already subscribed. Ring that bell to get updates. What happened to the documentary? So you made this 2-hour documentary. I watched it the other night, and within 48 hours it got flagged.
Yeah, I think it was on the fourth day, maybe, or so. It got taken down between the third and fourth day. Yeah, there was a copyright strike placed on the piece on YouTube from another YouTube channel, and so that resolution needs to be it needs to come to a conclusion. But it seems like that process is working itself out. So we'll see what happens after that. This work really, in my opinion, is kind of the epitome of fair use and free speech. You know, it's a
The Pentagon's
it's a transformative, not-for-profit commentary on a public figure that's educational. So I'm not quite sure how someone could think this isn't fair use, but that's up to other people to decide. And we have more important things to do, like talk about Lou Elizondo.
Well, it did start right out with the 60 Minutes clip, and I hope I'm just seeing this video getting flagged for that, but that's all right. We got plenty of people watching it live and who are going to share it, and you're welcome to screenshot and download and repost it if you any part of this if you need. We're going to dive into some of the information covered in this film and throw around some different theories on Lou. So a lot of people, there's a lot of negative, backlash. I've seen people saying that you're biased and you did a one-sided analysis. Did you weren't trying to smear Lou with this, right?
No, absolutely not. I tried to get a hold of Lou to get his side of the story on all these things and to give him a chance to confirm stuff before I put it out there. This is not about smearing the guy, but nobody knows who he is, and so it was about trying to figure out who he is, but based upon the public records, and that's all that I have access to is public records. I've filed for some other government documents, but haven't gotten them. So when that happens, maybe I will have more information to share with people. But for now, we don't know much, and everything seems to be based on his word. So I just figured I'd start doing some good old school diving, jump right into it, and try to take it from there.
Yeah, I mean, the guy has taken over ufology. He was in GQ magazine. You see that? It's
oh yeah. And from out of nowhere to right to the top. And I do mention that in the piece that he just kind of came out of nowhere and just, he's right up top and front and center with all of the other notable figures now. And it seems like a manufactured campaign. It's not something that just anybody could do. You can't just come out of the woodwork and say, hey, I'm an intelligence person and I have no evidence. And Jolly did that, and it didn't really work for her so well, But
so I'm a big fan of Dark Journalist, and Dark Journalist, is one of the guys from the start who's, been spreading the conspiracy theory that this was all a deep state creation. The CIA, NSA, DIA, and a bunch of others kind of got their best people together, and threw that together to the Stars Academy, which then I think it served its purpose and then fizzled out, and then they kind of got rid of Tom DeLonge. I haven't heard much from Tom or really what's going on with him. It's mostly been this guy, Chris Mellon, and Lou Elizondo as the front man. And, he doesn't, he points out a lot of the, Mellon family banking connections and stuff, but this Lou guy is an interesting character. And I think your documentary did a great job of kind of tracking down all his moves and documenting them, one by one, every move that he's kind of made through his training, his transfer in college. I mean, somewhere about the sophomore year, he realized he wasn't cut out to be a doctor and a medical professional, and that he liked intelligence work much better, and that he went into intelligence work for whatever reason. It might have been the people he got hooked up with or connected with while in college. But somewhere along the line, he ditched the glasses and started hitting the weights and I think he joined the Army after that. And was he Army Rangers?
I haven't heard anything about Rangers, but I believe he was in the Army.
No, not a Ranger, but
yeah,
he definitely was in one of these elites in the intelligence work. And so I think some of it's personal, like kind of personal information, man. But it I kind of needed to be done for the deep dive on him, like the fact that this woman that is you say that this is his wife. What's his wife's name?
Jennifer. Yeah,
Jennifer. So Jennifer moves to a location like a year to
Yeah, and so I noticed the pattern in Puerto Rico when they were down there, that it seemed like one of them would move before the other one. And in fact, in my response, Lou even confirmed that when he was talking about their move to Denver, Colorado, right when he was getting deployed. He said something along the lines of, I thought I was going to go to Korea, so she went up to Denver to set things up or whatever. So he kind of confirmed that pattern's always been there. But yeah, that's what it looks like. And so that's why when you get into the late 2016 timeframe, things start to look a little suspicious on the paperwork, because it looks like she moved to Encinitas, right next to the TTSA headquarters, close to a year before Lou quit the Pentagon. And, there's some other things that happened in there, that there was a home that was purchased about that same time out of state, and things like that may have been kept in somebody else's name, or could still be a bookkeeping error. I'm not certain. But there's some big questions here. Yeah, that's the house. That's the move in 2016.
Yeah, 20 minutes right up the road.
Yeah, 20-minute bus ride, 6-minute drive. That's a hard one to kind of say. Well, if we weren't planning to go to the TTSA, then why the move? And then everyone asks, well, why is that important? Well, it shows that this was an ongoing. I don't want to use the term conspiracy because it's a legal term, but what else do you use when you got a group of people who are plotting to do something to defraud the government, to get these pieces of footage out and to use them for their own devices over at TTSA, which they're still using them for.
So let's get into that, because there's another document that I thought was one of the key documents that, you pointed out, and I think John Greenwald has also talked about this on the Black Vault before. But this release of these 3 tapes, this is the request for the release of that intelligence, right?
Right.
So basically, you file this form when you work for the government that you want to get something declassified, and this right here is the title was Go Fast, Gimbal, and the FLIR videos. Those are the 3 videos that TTSA put out with the help of Jeremy Corbell, and claimed that they were unidentified aerial phenomenon or aliens or UFOs. There's nothing in our skies, no technology that Lockheed Martin or other companies might be in possession of that could possibly do have the operating characteristics of these objects. Yet the subject area is given as UAV, balloons, and other UAS.
Right. It's clearly not UAP. It's clearly not a UFO. It's not an unknown foreign object. It's not an outer space object. It's clearly unmanned aerial vehicles, balloons, and other unmanned systems. And as people who, you can show that to people in the military intelligence community or other people, and they'll tell you what UAS is. It's a clearly defined term, as is UAV and balloons. It's not up for debate. And so when they're out on the media saying, oh, this is a release form for UFOs, it's not, and they know it. Everybody knows it who has read documents like this before and understands those terms.
Yeah, I thought that was a very key point.
And the not for publication part is important too, that's on there too, because they state that they were going to take those to TTSA and use them with other under industry partners. Now, TTSA has a CRADA with the U.S. government. They can do things like this under certain contexts, but they did not do it the proper way, as the email from Susan Go also to John Greenwald shows. They did not do it the right way. This release was improper, and there has, to the best of my knowledge, not been an investigation into it to this day. And that's the only reason I feel that these people are able to say, we did this the right way or we'd be in jail. Well, no, there's another way that people don't go to jail for doing the wrong things.
As if it's a government sanctioned operation.
Yeah, you hear, you get it. Yeah. So,
yeah, well, that's an interesting, it's an interesting theory. So I guess that's where people see like you're trying to go after Lou and pin him as, this. And well, you did the investigation, and this is what came back, is that they Lou is the one that filed this to get these. He's the one that got the tapes declassified.
yeah, and I want to mention something about this document real quick since we're here talking about it. If you go to John Greenwald's site, The Black Vault, and look at the original full request, the DOPSAR request that he got for that, he actually has an email chain of Elizondo trying to push these things through just fervently for months, trying to get these things declassified. So it shows his intent to get these things declassified so that Christopher Mellon, as he said in the Phenomenon movie, could receive them in the Pentagon parking lot and bend the rules a little bit to get them out of there. I don't think that leaking classified or even sensitive information is bending the rules. I'm pretty sure the government takes that seriously.
But the thing is that this is, you mentioned military foreign objects or suspected military foreign objects, and anything that would designate something like UAP or UFO.
Anything.
I want to know that there must be files. There must be videos of things that have that on them and have that classification, though.
If you could figure out what that classification was, you might be able to get some of that stuff, but that's why they shift it. That's why it was UFO, then it's UAP, and who knows what they're calling it behind the scenes nowadays. It just keeps bouncing around. So, we'll never get the information until it's too late to use it, really, is what I'm thinking.
But then there's also another theory that they built this AATIP program, right? So AATIP program was the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program. And it only got like $22 million in funding, which we spend more on we waste more on stupid research. There's more wasteful.
22 million is not a lot, honestly, for a program like this. If this was some giant UFO program, you would expect it to have a huge staff and a huge budget and be connected to other intelligence services and agencies and other law enforcement, not just be an office somewhere, And so I want to say this real quick about AATIP, though. I'm really not the AATIP expert. I dug into Lou, but I tried to avoid the whole AATIP thing because it's so clouded. John Greenwald did a great breakdown on AATIP and OSAP, and I recommend everybody goes and watches it. He's done a lot of FOIA requests to get information about the program, and that's where I got all of most of my information about it was from his site. So go there if you want the straight stuff. But
if you want raw data, but we're here. What I do is analysis, so I want to talk about what I think of
Sure.
a lot of this stuff.
And just to clarify, in my opinion, there are two AATIPs. There's the official AATIP that's on paper that was mandated by the Secretary of Defense and Congress to do something. And then there's another AATIP, which is actually what these people Reed, Elizondo, all the other people did with the program. So when they say Elizondo ran a UFO program for 10 years, but on paper it only existed for 4, it's kind of true. But it was only actually on paper for 4 and was kind of a rogue op. The rest of the time. So that's why there's so much confusion around the program, because Elizondo will talk at length about what he did from his opinion, but it's not what AATIP was supposed to be doing. It's like if a Burger King guy is selling drugs out of the back of the Burger King when he's supposed to be selling hamburgers, you don't say Burger King's a drug dealer. The guy working there is a drug dealer, right?
Yeah.
So that's where the confusion with AATIP comes in. So you got to kind of separate the two when you're talking about it and say, are we talking about real AATIP or what it should have been, but it sounds like the program was just twisted for other people's uses. And an interesting thing about that $22 million, it seems to have all gone to Bigelow Advanced Aerospace Studies in a no bid contract, you know,
Right.
and then you go and look at the political donations from Reed to or from Bigelow to Reed, and it's like, okay, well, we know what happened there. You know, it's nothing. The whole thing just stinks of a gimme project. So I don't know what they're doing with it.
It seems to me like these guys, you know, like Bigelow got hip to this in the 80s and tried to get access to these programs, was denied. And so he kind of, his backlash on you know, like, I think there was some backlash there again, you know, because look at what Bigelow did with the NASA thing and the NASA contracts, and then he just totally shut down Bigelow Aerospace altogether. What happened to my stream? I got one viewer watching. What happened?
Did you get did it shut down?
It's got to have been flagged. No, huh? Is everyone still watching? Look at what happened to my stream. I just want to show you guys. It says one live viewer. That's weird.
It might just be an error on YouTube, you know, if it's just bouncing in and out. Actually, I saw this happen to somebody else, I think last night on another channel, where it just seemed to dump the stream. Yeah, it's nothing nefarious. It's fine. We can talk.
Cool. Dang.
We'll just give it a second for people to pile back in. That's too bad about YouTube. Good catch, though.
Oh, it says it's back to 182. Holy crap. Okay. So there we are.
Yeah.
We must have gotten a drop or a big boost or something. So,
all right.
So anyways, what I want to say about Senator Majority Leader Harry Reid, it looks like he spent a lot of his time convinced that there was a UFO file and there was more deep secrets hidden within the government. And it looks to me like they created this AATIP program as just a bottle cap to start prying the lid off and get a bunch of attention. And so they got the help of, you know, people that are good at getting attention in the UFO community. George Knapp was an investor, you know, in TTSA, helped promote it the day of their press release to that, you know, empty auditorium that you showed, where they all stood up and gave that press release.
That's the Vegas connection, I call it. It's Bigelow, George Knapp, and Harry Reid, you know?
Yeah. It looks like those are the power players that I've identified within this whole realm of, you know, where this all leads back to and goes back to.
Jeremy, we can't forget the Podesta emails, though. So this is really a bipartisan thing. It's not it's not just Reid. It goes back to, and even if you look at the new UFO offices, they're pushing everything as bipartisan. Well, that's great. We all know which industry plays both sides is the defense industry, because they're exclusively tied to the U.S. budget for their one customer, you know, and our allies. So they have to play both sides. They have to be apolitical. And everybody knows that. That's why career military members are apolitical too. You know, like you get that, like the officers, appointees, things that want to go up, a lot of military members are. So this really is something that's bigger than just Reid or Bigelow or any of those people, or even Mellon or Lou. It goes into something bigger, I think. And I believe
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So as Mellon describes his role in this, he says that, you know, so this is Chris Mellon we're talking about. He describes that he was phoned by, who is it, one of these senators, and was asked to look into this UFO program and flush it out. And this is what he found. That's like his whole claim of why, you know, he got into all this is because he was hired by one of his senators to, like, you know, start looking into this, and he didn't really think about it seriously or take it too seriously.
Yeah, I have to question that. I don't know. That doesn't sound true. You know,
like a lot of this. I mean, I would love to get these guys. I would love to see. They give all these, you know, they give interviews to a lot of these channels, but it's usually people that aren't prepared with all the right questions. And I didn't when you know, guys like Kurt Jamungal always ask me, like, do you have any questions for my guests? And I always get them with some really good questions, man. When you know, alien scientist or Jeremy Riss asks this, that's always like some gold. I should make like a whole montage clip of all those at some point.
Yeah, you need to get a highlight reel.
Yeah, that'd be great. But Mellon, if he's really in this to flush out this program and really dig into this, it just boggles my mind that they're Hal Puthoff is the most silent member of this entire team. I think like the best interviews I have of him is like at some it was another conference on some unrelated thing that he talked about all this stuff, and someone filmed it, and like it kept getting taken down from YouTube and all these channels, but like I had other people repost it and keep it alive, and now it's like it's enshrined on a couple different channels, so it can't get taken down. But Hal Puthoff under TTSA really didn't do a heck of a lot of scientific disclosure or talk about these programs or really get open and honest and talking about all the stuff that he was involved with, going back to his work with John Alexander at the U.S. Army Psychological Warfare Operations Center, with the Sci-Spies program and the Men Who Stare at Goats, and how he got into all this ESP paranormal stuff with Uri Geller and a whole bunch of other stuff that is related in this deep dark CIA file if you really do the research on this stuff.
Yeah, it gets complicated quick, and you start to see, a lot of people have wondered, is this an operation? And if so, what kind? How deep does it go? It has the earmarks of one, but is it a group of private people just running an operation because they know how to? Or is it actually some kind of big thing? And we don't really know until you really start digging into it, but it's clear that it's not. There's something that's not being talked about. There's more an agenda that seems to shift every 2 years as the House, the Senate, and the White House flip. Like as we have our elections, it tends to kind of meander as it goes from, oh, we're going to build a spaceship to, oh, we're going to go do some movies. Oh, we're going to go do this, and it just seems to react to our election cycles, which again tells me which industry it is. You've got all of the red flags, and I think a lot of people have seen it, especially when I was able to get it all into one place and say, here it is, because I don't think I've heard from any one person who watched my documentary and didn't learn something, at least one fact that they hadn't learned. Even if they disagree with my conclusions, there's still people out there saying, wow, you had something that I didn't, and it's nothing new. All of this is out there. We've all seen all of this before, but this is the first time it's placed chronologically by his life, and then it's all in one place. So it's a resource database for people to want to learn. Yeah, there's Hal Puthoff at the Bass contract.
Yeah, where do you think about will we ever see all these other names declassified? And
I don't know if they are actually classified or just redacted because those people don't want to be identified. Because the first time this came out, the only name that was on it was Elizondo, I believe. And then a couple months later, maybe even longer, this version came out with these other names. So yes, there's still an unredacted version of this out there. But this is just a memo that most people believe was a memo from Mellon's phone. This isn't an official government document. It's not a USG document.
Thank you all the guys who donated in the super chat. So Harry Toe says, "Let's go Canadian truckers." We had Simon, a whole bunch. I didn't even read off the ones from before, man. But loyal to the foil. Sorry, didn't miss you. Keep at it. Yeah, this is a cool dig. So Donald Smeed, thank you for the $5, and Jantic. Let's go. All right. Sweet. We're up to we're gonna hit $50 or $100 on this, man. This is great. I'm gonna split the money with Manny here. I'll send him the cash. So
buy me dinner sometime.
Yeah, we'll have to go and hang out and at the next UFO conference. But yeah, this would be cool to get this unredacted. If in your opinion, what else that we haven't mentioned, do you think should be mentioned in this overview?
So when this first started and I was researching this thing, and people who follow me on Twitter and watch my YouTube videos know this, that when TTSA first came out, I was extremely hard on Tom DeLonge and TTSA because I didn't really understand the agenda that was going on. And since then, I've realized that it was really this agenda that was over there, so I shifted into that. But I also, have been looking at there was a point where I went through a Lockheed Martin phase because I started finding all these Lockheed Martin connections to Lou Elizondo going back to 2001. And I was like, oh my God, this guy's definitely working for Lockheed, but I just couldn't find it. I couldn't pan it out. I kept looking, I kept looking, I kept looking, and the only way that we're going to find out if Lockheed Martin ever paid to use these patents is if Lou tells us or Lockheed Martin tells us, so we don't know. And I don't think that they did, honestly. I suspect that all of these patents were kind of, I think he was trying to entice them to bite the bait, to come and pay him off for something. And I don't think they ever did. And so when this opportunity arose or popped up in front of him, I think he took it. And, the timing of it was spectacular because he was 3 years away from his retirement and he could have walked then, but chose not to, chose to take this route instead. So that, to me, that says a lot. Either it was really emotionally invested or had other interest, financial, fame, ego, or whatever. And I tend to think it was more fame. I just think he didn't want to disappear and retire into kind of, obscurity.
And then they have Steve Justice on their team, was one of the managers over at Skunk Works for Lockheed Martin, right? So, and then Tom DeLonge was apparently brought over there and brought into a skiff and given like a debriefing, actually, which
Well, with the TTSA CRADA, there are things that they could talk about and discuss in documents and projects. I'm not sure exactly what that means because I haven't dug into what all they can do. We did get some clarification that they can't speak for the government or release information for the government. So when TTSA put their logos all over all of that footage that the government owns via the Navy, they broke a bunch of rules.
I think it's the other thing too is this boat company. There's a lot of questions I have about the boat company and his involvement while he was in Florida because I felt like in the documentary in that part where when he had that move to Florida, you pointed out one thing that he's never lived more than 30 minutes from a Lockheed Martin facility, no matter where he's lived as he's moved around. Well, Lockheed Martin does do a lot of defense work, so they are close to a lot of military places too, just for to be able to do support.
Yeah, for sure. And that Lockheed Martin's everywhere. I think they own, if you go to the corporation wiki, I think they have 650 some odd sub companies that they own. And those are all the ones that are on the books, not all the contracted, like Inmar Technology. That's a perfect example. Lockheed Martin doesn't own it, but everyone who works there and created the company was in their employ at some point, created all these patents while working there and is allowed to use the declassified versions of them in their retirement.
So we should do some statistics on that, like how many go to every military base in the U.S. and measure the average proximity to a Lockheed Martin facility.
Right. And here's something interesting that I learned while researching this project is that in Aguadilla, Puerto Rico, right next to where the famous Aguadilla UFO was spotted, is actually a Lockheed Martin office as well. It's the only one in Puerto Rico. So, that's something to look at too. A lot of these sightings may be our stuff, and I tend to think nowadays the Nimitz encounter was something of ours that was being tested. And I have a feeling that Mellon and Elizondo know that, and they're trying to put pressure on this mainstream company, Lockheed or whoever it was, saying, hey, you guys messed up here, or we know this is your tech and we're going to force it to be revealed so that we can get access to it for these newcomers to the business like Bigelow, who I don't think was even incorporated till the 90s, right? I don't think he was around in the 80s as far as the airline business went. So I'm not sure why, latecomers to the game feel like they should get retroactive access to technologies that have been around in our defense industry for years. But that's what it sounds like what they're doing.
And a lot of it's like stuff that's so outdated now that they're just, I feel like they have to come out with it or release it. It's, and this is the route that they literally chose to do it, was to, basically give it to these intelligence guys like Lou Elizondo. Do you think he, with his background as a, you got 2 years as a doctor, as a pre-med, I can't imagine his science and technical engineering, knowledge, the amount of engineering knowledge that you'd have to build some of these things and understand this stuff is well beyond what I think he was capable of as a technical
I actually spoke to a shipbuilder here in Portland while I was researching this and showed him these documents and Lou's education, and he laughed and he said, "Not without some serious help." So I think he could.
Well,
he could.
I think you nailed where his serious help was. This guy John Robert.
Yeah, it might be. It just might be. He might be the guy, or his brother, or a contact that they have, But I don't think it's him. He doesn't strike me as a creative fellow, Mr. Elizondo. I don't think he plays any instruments or paints or does anything creative. I think he's more of just a well trained. He's intelligent. He's very intelligent, obviously, and he's well trained, and he's very calculating and very precise. But he's not creative. If the guy could sit down and draw a landscape, I'd eat it. I'd eat my hat. I don't think he could. Not to say that I can draw, but I have other forms of creativity. And I'm just saying I don't think he is. So it's hard to see him coming up with this. And in fact, even the title of that company isn't original. Never Ship Empty was a World War II slogan, about how to never ship a boxcar empty. So all of pretty much everything that he's come up with is taking somebody else's trick, putting a little bow on it, and saying, "Hey, look what I did." Yeah, that's kind of my opinion. It's just not really his own thing, and that's why I say I have a hard time believing. But I'd like to hear this story from him, how he came up with these and how he stuck with it. I mean, that article that you showed is really interesting because it shows right at the heart of his AATIP, right the year that he was. Click the full article, the one atop the picture. It's the one right above that, yeah. In this article, if you look, he talks about him and his coworker commuting across the Bay Bridge to work every day as a desk agent, and a bureaucrat or whatever. Not a bureaucrat, but a desk agent. He's not out in the field flying around in Apaches. He's crossing the Bay Bridge with his friend every day, talking about how they're going to get rich quick with this Never Ship Empty patent and this company that I don't know what happened to, and on this topic, I had said that in the film that I did not find this company. Somebody else found it after I released this film. And I've made that admission on the webpage. I've made a statement about that and said, I made a mistake. The company did exist. But did they ever do anything with it? I don't know. And I found that interesting that at the time that he's getting promoted to the leader of AATIP and supposedly the UFO hunter for the Pentagon, here he is in his own words, a desk agent, coming up with a business and a patent and all this other stuff. So which story is true? Is it the one he told this journalist, or is it the one that he told us on the stage in 2017, or the one he's saying today?
So that ties up that loose end, at least, that somebody, was it not registered in that state? Was it registered in another state?
Yeah, it was registered in Delaware under another.
A lot of people file their first business,
absolutely,
out of state, and they do it in Delaware. That's a comment when we did Hover Brothers and did the research for that. We were like, you file in Delaware because it's the easiest, and
I should have, and I've learned from that mistake. And I did do a nationwide search on a couple of other business sites searching sites to try to see if he had that. I just didn't individually go to every state, and that's my error, my mistake, and I should have, and that's all I can say. Yeah, I mean, I made a mistake.
So are there any other questions we ask Who's Lou that were answered besides this one?
I said in the movie that Lou tends to run away from his critics and hide behind friendly personalities. And I think when this came out, Elizondo jumped onto a live stream that I call a drama channel, and there was a couple, 50, 60 viewers or something, and he responded to me in front of this weird. It was a weird response, and I characterized it in my last video where he attacked my character, said I was a shoddy researcher, and then fired up his troops to basically fight on his behalf and to go get karma and all this stuff. And it was just, I said it was repugnant. It really was. I was just like, why wouldn't you just answer the questions? I'm not trying to fight with the man. I want to have a conversation and get answer to my questions because I think they're valid questions. And I've heard a lot of other people ask these questions over the years, So if he ever wants to sit down with me and go through the piece minute by minute, he can, and I'll sit down and I'll stop it right when Lou wants me to, and I'll let him make a comment on anything or set the record straight, and I'll put it right back in there, and everyone can see his side too. But I gave him many opportunities, and I believe that he knew that I was trying to get a hold of him. He kept saying, oh, I don't know who this guy is, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, you do. I've been bugging you for quite a bit. I've been after this guy for years to talk to me in different ways.
They don't know who I am. I'm like, and that I've made no contributions to ufology. That's what his critics say.
Yeah, it's just dismissive. And it's like, you know what? Mr. Elizondo can make whatever excuse he wants not to face me. It's just an excuse. He'll go everywhere else. His handlers or Mellon or whoever's got their hooks into him this week, tell him to go and talk. But he won't come and face some hard music about some stuff that, he needs to. Now not every question I raised in the film was I pushed some boundaries there, and I did that because I wanted to put the ball squarely into his court. I said, look, you've said this for years. I want you to prove some of this stuff. I want you to prove that you're a super soldier with psychic powers. I want you to prove that you hunted a single UFO ever. I want you to prove that AATIP was a UFO program, because I've never believed that from day one. And people seem to think that...
What do you mentioned AATIP started out with this Bigelow and Bass stuff, and at the time Bigelow owned Skinwalker Ranch, right? This was before he sold it, right? Yeah.
I'm not sure what year he sold it, but it seems like it's right around that time frame. And so maybe that was part of the, maybe what was going on. If you were to dig into Skinwalker, you might find some kind of similar Krata group or something like that had some kind of deep pockets into Skinwalker as well, so, and Bigelow and Bass. I'm not sure. I haven't really dug into that too much. I've been focused on Lou exclusively for this project for several months.
It's just interesting. It's just interesting that the Skinwalker stuff is so closely tied to Bigelow and Corbell, who's this disinfo agent, absolute disinfo agent, who kind of, it seems like how did Corbell? What's the story with how Corbell got a hold of Lou Elizondo's?
In my opinion, it kind of like, so they had, like you said, he replaced Tom DeLonge because Tom DeLonge was out. And I mentioned that in Who's Lou too. I say Tom DeLonge was out as the public face. They needed somebody else. So Corbell and Knapp have had a connection for a while. Yeah.
When Tom DeLonge bombed on Joe Rogan, I feel like he like kind of receded out. He went back into music a little bit with it.
He's pushed himself into Angels and Airwaves is really what TTSA is all about now. I think they've got a book and a movie, but if anyone wants to go look at the latest SEC filings, which were from a few months back, they haven't posted their current ones yet. They can see that the company's in trouble and that it's using the intellectual property to pay off the debts to DeLonge, and that's not a good sign. But TTSA, in my opinion, is just going to run with the creative stuff until they basically are just dry and gone, and then they'll probably just fold it.
Now, this TTSA group, To the Stars Academy, a lot of people have compared it to the Aviary. And are you familiar with the Aviary in ufology?
I haven't looked into it.
So, if you go to my boblazardebunked.com, I can't find this on YouTube if I search for it, but if you go to my boblazardebunked.com and you scroll down to right here, this video right here on YouTube, we'll get a link.
Oh, yeah, I remember the UFO cover-up.
So the UFO cover-up live aired. Here's a link to this video right here. And this aired back in 1988, a year before Bob Lazar came out with UFOs in the Government Bible. And they talked about UFOs in the Government Bible, and it was this group of these guys who, were from the government and covered up their faces. And one of them was Richard Doty. I think that was Falcon.
Yeah.
But they all named themselves bird names. So, one was Condor.
Yeah. I was going to say, did they ever confirm that Falcon was Doty? I kind of think he was, but.
Yeah. It's got to be. It's just like you go back and watch this, and you look at the shape of the head, and I mean, it's Doty, dude. It's totally.
Yeah, it sure seems like it. And so that's kind of there's definitely echoes of this campaign in what's going on now. It's different, but
agreed. But basically, what these guys were government disinformation agents, like Bill Moore, and was being used by these guys to basically promote this disinfo to the public. And it was called the UFO Cover Up Live, and they basically were covering up all kinds of other stuff with this UFO stuff, and while covering up the UFO stuff. It's pretty interesting. But anyways, there are maybe some comparisons to that, and then the whole idea with Avi Loeb, because where are these To the Stars guys now? They kind of, TTSA kind of broke up. They all went their separate ways, but Mellon and Elizondo both just joined.
The Galileo Project, indeed.
Galileo Project.
Right. So it seems like that kind of agenda that whatever they were working on at TTSA is maybe going over there. I'm not sure.
And then Galileo Project, I'm right here. I could probably drive to, Avi's house in Harvard Square in an hour. But he won't respond to any of my emails, but he's given, interviews to all these other small channels and all these other people, man. It's like, it's what's going on. They don't want to be asked certain questions and have certain angles approached on this, is what it looks like to me. It's just very questionable, the research team and their scientific advisory board. And
I never understood that, Jeremy. When it was announced that Mellon and Elizondo were coming on board, I scratched my head and I said, what's going on here? What could they bring? What do they have? And we've pretty much heard every story that they're allowed to tell the public, to date. So I don't get it.
Some of these guys are great. Brian Keaton is amazing. His interview on Theories of Everything should definitely be looked at. Stephen Wolfram, another good guy. Seth Shostak, he's a skeptic. It's better than at one point there was I think Michael Shermer was invited as part of the project, and I was like, what the heck could Michael Shermer possibly add to this? The guy's just like a naysayer of everything. Like
I don't know. I mean, maybe because these names are hot in ufology right now. That was kind of what I was thinking. But again, it doesn't make sense why those Elizondo and Mellon don't go anywhere without a purpose. If they're going to a project, it's going to be on purpose. They have an agenda. They've got something that they want to accomplish, or there's a reason. What is it? I don't know. Maybe somebody else can help figure this out. It could be something bigger. It could be part of a bigger plan. It could be something smaller. I just don't know.
Philanthropic Advisory Board. The research team. These are the people doing actual research. Yeah, so I don't see Mellon and Elizondo anywhere on here anymore. I don't see Hal Puthoff, and I see Gary Nolan's on the research team, he's an interesting guy. Jack Valet.
Yeah, I think Jack just joined up recently.
Oh, and Eric Weinstein. He's on there too.
They got a lot of help, and it seems like a great project. Again, I just am curious why these two individuals decided to go over there and why they were allowed or accepted into the program, or were they solicited? I mean, we don't really know. But it's interesting. I think people should definitely be keeping an eye on the Galileo Project at this point because of that. Because when this agenda doesn't seem to want to go anywhere, it's kind of like a hydra. Every time a head falls off, another one pops up somewhere else that looks just the same. And that might be what's going on here.
This is the scope of research. Okay, this is a very limited scope. So let's check this out. Will aim to identify the nature of UAP and Oumuamua, like interstellar objects, using the standard scientific method based on a transparent analysis of open scientific data to be collected using optimized instruments. This ground-based project is complementary to traditional SETI in that it searches for physical objects and not electromagnetic signals associated with extraterrestrial.
Jeremy, something just occurred to me about what Mellon just said in a very recent interview. I think it was last night or this morning even. But he was talking about the space net that we have around the north and south part of America that's got... He's talked about phased radar arrays that could identify an object and image an object the size of a baseball from 20,000 miles away that are ground-based. And I think that might be, if that technology is declassified and Mellon is trying to help get that declassified so that Avi can use it here, that might be part of it. But that technology, once it's declassified, is not just going to go to astronomers. It's then going to be declassified so that our defense industry can sell it to our allies in other countries. And we all know who those allies are. So that might be a push behind this to try to get this stuff declassified under the guise of we're doing it for astronomy, but really we're doing it so that other countries can buy it.
Well, Dark Journalist was, suggesting that Avi Loeb might have some connections to some Israeli intelligence groups as well, which I thought was, interesting. He pointed out at least one of those connections the other night.
Yeah, that's an interesting idea. I'd never considered that or seen anything to indicate it myself. But once
I
you
don't know.
once you put that factor in, you're like, wow, that opens up a lot of new possibilities, right?
Yeah, like, well, are they, trying to leverage the government to get a hold of this tech as it's declassified? Are they
Yeah.
working with the X-Protect, group to keep, the wraps on the real technology? Well, keep people mesmerized. We're just building telescopes to look for these things. No, you guys are like building these things, and you have pieces of them. According to Gary Nolan, he can talk a little bit about some of this stuff, and but he really doesn't reveal much, at least not on the level of the stuff that we dig into here on Alien Scientists, where we really dig into the science and the black programs on this stuff, and talk to the actual scientists involved.
And it's important to note that really what this agenda or this group is doing, they're not pushing, they're selling it as full disclosure. Elizondo's fifth promise on Twitter says, I will always push for full disclosure. That is a crock of bull. I've never once heard him ever push for some form of energy or a cure for cancer or something that's altruistic. But he is pushing for UFO offices that they can set up as another AATIP. He is pushing for declassification of technologies that Lockheed Martin has and things like that. But I don't want, I want full disclosure, not this modified, I call it a neutered form of disclosure. It's got no balls. And I don't want that, because they're going to call this disclosure, and we're never going to get the endless energy. We're never going to get the renewable energy. We're never going to get the cure for cancer. We're not going to get all of the stuff that comes along with full disclosure.
So some of that stuff was talked about on the last AATIP. And for those of you who don't know what APEC, sorry, not AATIP, APEC. So APEC is the conference that Tim Ventura and some of my friends hold, and I help broadcast it and promote it here on Alien Scientists. But last week on APEC, this is actually the coming APEC. We're going to be talking about the Casimir effect, plasma vortices, and ideas on gyroscopic propulsion, which Boeing did, and Mike Gamble did a lot of interesting research into back in the day. So we got some other people that did some interesting stuff. But we were talking about this last week on energy harvesting. What's basically waste heat recovery technology, right? And this thing called Maxwell's zombie. And not Maxwell's demon. It's kind of like Maxwell's demon in reverse or something. I still don't get it. And it's different than Schrodinger's zombie. It's Maxwell's zombie, and it's this whole waste heat recovery technology that they can basically find ways to recycle and all the waste heat from a system, so that you get this 100% efficiency systems.
Wow.
Based on this topological insulators and topological tech, two-dimensional topologies in material science. And there's a lot of interesting materials knowledge and physics knowledge, as Hal Puthoff recently said in that little blip where Hal, every time Hal talks, it's like he lets out a little blip of something, but I can't really go into it too deep. But he knows about these topological materials, these, all the different materials that are being discovered, sandwiching between layers of graphene, rotating those layers to get magic angle, and all these other weird physics that are starting to be being discovered by our scientists, but were clearly discovered, by whoever built these things that crashed years ago that we recovered pieces of and have been analyzing. And some people in the public, really, there's not a lot of samples, and Gary Nolan's the first one I'm really aware to be who's gotten actual samples from UFO crash sites and analyzed them using scientific instruments. But again, this is the UFO guy. Yeah, this guy with Jack Valet. Very interesting stuff. Again, this is more, going to lead us towards, the technology stuff and deep into it. These patents that I see on Lou's thing, it doesn't really, it's just magnetohydrodynamic stuff or something, just like, it's like old school boat propeller, technology that's,
Yeah, where did that come from? Just out of, left field? You're just going to find an old jet wash, shroud to put on a boat and hope that some, boat building company picks up a contract with the government to put 10,000 of them on units or something like that. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
It's odd. It's odd. It seems to me like it was a carrot on the end of a stick, hoping to get a bite for a graft. Yeah, it's just that simple.
Well, if that's the case, then he might have been an opportunist who saw TTSA as this retirement opportunity, and it certainly looks like a number of the people that orchestrated the TTSA thing cashed out with all the investments. There's a lot of people invested in that thinking they were going to get a craft, thinking they were going to get declassified technology, and that we were going to build a craft and
Yeah. Hey, if anybody out there actually bought TTSA stocks, get in touch with me if you wouldn't mind, because I'm talking to someone who's kind of trying to put together a story about, that and has some information for them. But so if anybody out there has some and they wouldn't mind talking to a journalist on a background, not named, but just to get some background, reach out to me in my email. Sorry, it just occurred to me. Yeah. So I figured I'd shout out. But yeah.
So he went and bought a really nice house right after he moved up from Encinitas, and I think he's one of these doomed. I'm gonna get Dan on here as well, because he's been sitting backstage. I want to get a third voice in here. It's kind of we've been going for almost an hour now, just me and you. I want to get some different voices in here. Dan's backstage. Anyone else would like the link? Or ask a question in all caps, and if you really want to join in here, and let me know. Maybe we can get some Lou Elizondo fanboys to come on here and tell you what an asshole you are.
Oh boy, what's up?
What's up,
guys? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we hear you. What's up, Dan?
Oh, not much. I'm trying to stay awake, which I'm doing very well. Not much. Just listening to you guys, and you brought up something just a couple of minutes ago, and I want to know about it. I want to know about the stocks. I want to know about these TTSA stocks. You brought it up.
Yeah. You can go to the Security Exchange Commission webpage and find all that stuff if you want to look at it. I've got copies of it. But
now, what can you tell us like right now that would be, you could just give us kind of a breakdown on kind of what happened, at least, because there's a lot of people that don't know what happened, and I never got into that portion of it and didn't really care to, but now tonight I do. What's the deal with the stocks? What happened with TTSA? It tanked, right?
It seems that way. It looks like, or I don't want to say it's gone, but originally they had 5 different divisions or 4. There was a advanced aerospace division that was supposed to bring us a spacecraft. There was the entertainment division, which is the only division that's left, which was Angels versus Angels and Airwaves, and then the books and media that they have there, all the intellectual property. But the company, if you look at how it was set up when it first came out, there's a UFO channel called UFO Seekers, I want to say the name is, who did like an 8-minute breakdown of the corporate filings and things like that.
Yeah, you know who that is? That's Tim. What's Tim's last name? He's really good with stocks, also.
He ripped it all apart in that 8-minute video. It shows how they started out in the hole.
They go out and film Edwards Air Force Base and Area 51 stuff like that. What's his name? Jeremy. He's the one that found that Dr. Bob Lazar that time, which was the wrong Bob Lazar. Darn it, he's out in California. Tim
Doyle?
Tim Doyle, yes. His channel used to be really popular, and then it just like faded away, and he doesn't do much anymore. And yes, Tim Doyle, yeah, he's very good with stocks.
Yeah,
I remember when he
did that. He was like all over that stuff, and he lost a lot of his fan base. Like, all these people turned on him, and he kind of like took a call. He kind of like got discouraged with the whole like thing after that, I feel. Because he's like, well, he tried so hard his whole career to bring like real information out, and realize that there's just so much bullshit in this field, and that all the bullshitters just going to come in and steal all the attention away, and it's like pointless.
Yep.
So it's like, I understand.
The first hard hit,
you have been there, man.
Lazar, yeah, when he first started hitting, was when he started talking bad about Bob Lazar, And then the second hard hit was when he claimed that I can't remember which exact video it was, but one of the FLIR videos he had maintained was just nothing but a fighter jet out in the distance in front of the other one turning. And man, did people go nuts on him. But you know what? It made a lot of sense when another fighter jet pilot looked at it and was like, you know what? It sounds plausible to me. And it started grabbing some traction, and then he got death threats over it. And literally, that's how crazy this whole thing became. It's back in 2018. Yeah, he backed off. He got out of it for a while. And that's how crazy this all can get. And that's why I keep my distance these days. I don't go after anybody calling them a hoaxer or a fraud or anything these days on purpose, you know. How about it, Jeremy? It can happen. You can end up in a real crazy situation with a battle on your hands that's just not worth it.
There's some emotionally unstable people out there, you know, and unfortunately, a lot of them have no problem showing that on the internet and, you know, doing insane things that are just beyond certain norms. But, you know, whatever, it's on them. They're going to show themselves to the world. Let them.
Well, if I had, you know, unlimited finances and could do stuff like this and take on a lot of these hoaxers, because I can say who the hoaxers are right here. Jeremy knows. But I would do it. And I wouldn't worry about it. The problem is I got to make a living, you know. And also, this all gets real old.
I don't exactly. We got to make a living, and part of that living is like just debunking all these hoaxes. And there's never, as long as these guys continue, there's a never-ending stream of work for us to do.
Isn't it crazy? It never ends. As soon as you think you find a story that's real, you start getting into it, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh man, you know. It's bull crap. Oh my God. Yeah, I just spent a year on this one. I just spent 20 years on that one. You know, it's just insane. And, okay, so Lou, we got this Lou guy, right? And you and I talked, man, sorry about that. I fell asleep last night. We were talking on the phone. I was so spent, dude, because I'd got up early to work, and then I worked second shift. It's not like I get up and go right to work, come home, go to sleep like a lot of people do. Or stay up for a while. I got up early, 5 hours before my shift, went in, and then was up with you. I was up to almost 24 hours at that point when I was falling asleep last night.
So you're just overtired. You're not drunk.
Well, do I sound drunk right now?
There's a couple of people in the chat that were like, "Get drunk, Dan off."
Are they saying I'm drunk? Well, then I'll leave. Here's the deal, man.
Get it, man.
Are they saying I'm drunk?
There's like one or two trolls, man. Don't worry.
Oh, dude, you know what? Screw them. It's trolls that are following me from another platform. F you, bastards. Hold on.
There's all kinds of trolls out there. There's a few in the chat right now that are just begging for attention. They're not going to get it.
Should we bring them on?
Yeah, bring them on if they got the stones. I don't think they do.
Yeah, you know what? Bring them on, dude. Bring these trolls on.
All right, you have to have a camera if you want to come on. I'm not letting anyone in without a camera. So.
Yeah. Step up or step out, kids.
Here's your chance. Alien Scientists live. You're watching live.
Let's all deal with these trolls.
Almost 250 people.
Oh, I see what's going on, dude. They're bored. I don't blame them. I'm bored too, buddy. Okay? I was sitting here a fucking hour.
What Stan Friedman used to say, if you can't attack someone's evidence, you attack their character. Wasn't that how it went?
Yeah, yep, exactly. I was here an hour and 20 minutes ago waiting to talk, but yeah, I'm tired too, buddy.
Well, there's a StreamYard link. If any of these clowns want to come on and say something to our face, they can.
How many hours a week do you work in your mom's basement? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Guys, how many hours a week do you work in your mom's basement?
This week.
That's a great question.
I'm so tired of trolls, dude. That's why I don't come on the internet anymore, man. That's all you deal with is fucking trolls, dude. Sorry about my language. Not.
Yeah, Fessler's on here. Get on here.
Oh, it's Fessler on there. Hey, Fessler.
This should be cute.
The guy claims that aliens fly him around and shit. That's where all this is coming from, probably.
Man, so Manny, want to sum up who's Lou and
I think Lou is some kind of special operator, and I think that the whole thing where he moved to West Virginia is legit, and I think he's probably has a bunker there, and is probably probably a prepper, and I think I think Lou's probably who he says he is. That's my opinion. I'm different than other people. I think he's probably who he says he is. Honestly, I think he's out to make some money, though. I think he's out to make some money, but yeah, I'm a little different than other people.
But what if they just created this AATIP program and then like hired this career intelligence guy, like Lou, to head the program and made him think that he was, the real.
To create a shitload of confusion, yeah.
Yeah, just to create a shit like as a disinfo campaign to like, so Lou actually believes and thinks that he is the point man. Remember he told like. And other people told Tom DeLonge that he's like, listen, we're going to introduce you
to too. Yeah.
The source, dude who runs the whole shit. You know what I mean? And then they're like, here it is. It's Lou. And it's like,
well, see what I'm saying? I'm saying that I think Lou is who
that's bullshit.
Army intelligence. He was in like Army intelligence stuff.
In fact, didn't Lou even said himself on that one interview that he said when he was inducted into the program, the person who brought him in and brought him on the program was a professor at a university. It was like a physicist. He said it was your quintessential quantum physicist. They looked just like Bob Lazar or something like that.
Yeah, I'd heard it was two guys at the Pentagon walked up to him and were like, "What do you think about UFOs?" And he says, "I don't." And they're like, "You're the guy for the job."
Yeah,
that's what I heard. Yeah.
There was another story that he told. I remember hearing that as well.
Right. So which one's true? Damn it.
All I'm saying is I think the guy definitely, was in the Army and all that stuff. And
for sure.
Hey,
Dan, I've got unconfirmed reports from people that have served with him. The guy was there. He was in Afghanistan and has done some things. There's no one's denying that. No one's trying to challenge that. It's clear that he was in the Army and has done some things. I'm not trying to challenge that. What I'm trying to do is sift through all the embellishment to get to the truth. I just want to know the truth. I don't want the stories. I want the truth.
Yeah, I don't. That's the problem. How do you sift what the truth is? There's, what is it, 20 some $20 million spent. How many people work for the program? Not many, right?
22 million, 5 people.
Attorney costs 15 million.
5 people was this? This list is 5 names, 5 names redacted. There's 11 people on this list.
Well, yeah, but if you'll notice at this point, this is, I believe, where Lou was named as the director. Oh no, he wasn't director. So there was a director right above him, but all the rest of those are bureaucrats. They're going to be mid-level officers that go all the way up the chain up to the SecDef. So I don't think that they were actually involved other than an administrative role, probably checking everything off as it went by and things like that.
Yeah, I like I said, man, oh, by the way, I see some of the trolls that are, it looks like you got some trolls from that page it was used the other night where Lou was on, where like 4 people watched.
Oh, the drama channel, yeah. They like it.
Yeah,
they're here trying to cause
drama. They were at it with what's his name last night. Oh Jesus, Goofon, weren't they? Weren't they fighting with him?
I posted the link in the chat. I didn't see any of them joining on, and no one's.
Yeah, man, tell them guys to come on here. That Fessler guy can come on because I gave.
Well, some people just can't face the music, and they don't want to stand behind what they're screaming. Like, there's a reason this person chose to do it on their video stream and not to contact me directly. And there's a reason that Elizondo chose to respond there and not contact me directly. Some people just can't handle a real conversation.
If this was the real program and Elizondo was the real point man of the real program, dude, they would have had a lot more funding than 20 million, bro.
And there would be documentation everywhere. There'd be all kinds of reports and status updates and things like that. There just wouldn't be a janky memo and Lou's word. And that's too much of the story. It comes down to Lou's word. I mean, yeah. I want to believe him.
Got mad. Do you see that?
Who? Never heard of him.
How mad the Fessler guy got, if that's the real one.
Yeah, I've never heard of him.
Is that him? Tom Fessler. He's he claims he was Lou was on his show the other night, wasn't he?
Yeah, I don't know. Lots of people have Lou. I can't walk to the store without bumping into 3 people Lou's done a live stream with.
He's like
except for me.
They call themselves, what do they call themselves? Absorbers now, the people that are being abducted and stuff, or experiencers. I'm sorry. I wish I could experience being on a UFO. It'd be great, wouldn't it, Jeremy?
Yeah, I've been waiting for a real UFO video to come out of the government. I know that like the government has to have like videos of if they got this, you know that they got videos of hypersonic missile tests in China. They got videos of all kinds of shit, including tons of stuff that they don't know what it is. And
they asked Lou the other night if he could answer the question about about UFOs and if we have one and stuff, and he said he couldn't answer the question.
Yeah, remember the DOD didn't give us straight.
Well, yeah, I don't think he would know. I mean, if he was an investigator in AATIP,
Well, that
why would he
leads you
have
to
access
believe
to
we have
the...
one. You know what I'm saying? That leads you to believe. He said, do we have aliens and do we have UFO? And it leads you to believe we have one when he says, I'm not allowed to answer that question, is what he said.
He will, he'll kind of dance around it, but then he is trying to answer it in his own way. And that's what I just don't like. It's like either say no or yes. Just don't. Everything is innuendo. Everything is sift through the facts. Find his little. Yeah. It's so easy to manipulate people with nuance in this. And that's exactly what he's doing is manipulating people, dribbling it in front of them and pushing them down the road to say what he can't say,
It's crazy that he's gotten so much attention, man. When do I get it? I need to like know in my GQ, when I discover anti-gravity and really prove it, am I going to be in GQ as well? Jeez, right.
I don't know. This is manufactured. I mean, anyone can buy celebrity status if you've got the right. I mean, you grease the right wheels. We all know that. I mean, you pay the right person to get you on these shows, and you're there. And that just tells you how much money they've got.
You stop talking about the 3-letter agencies, and you stop talking about all the criminals in the government, and you got to be nice and play by the rules, and that's how you get on. That's how you get on mainstream media. You know how many requests I've had for that stupid, helicopter orb video? Like the media is more interested in that than
they like the fake ones, right?
It's not fake. It's something. Yeah, it's not CGI. No way. Yeah. If you send it to me, I'll analyze it and make sure it's not.
That show
that everyone thinks is a third helicopter with the big spotlight on. The daylight.
But no transponder.
Let's take a look at it. Didn't you post it on your channel?
Yeah.
You have permission?
Well, it's my video. Yeah, let's play it real quick.
I want to see it, man. Maybe I don't even know what you're talking about here. Not that it matters. I don't care.
It's cool. It's like 2 Black Hawk helicopters escorting what appears to be a UFO. It's a big bright light. It's it's shining light down, and it doesn't to me look like a spotlight because spotlights on helicopters waver. If anybody's seen a ghetto bird, as you call it, the light doesn't it kind of bounces as the chopper hits turbulence and stuff. So
wait a minute here. There's three crafts.
So you got a Black Hawk in front and behind that show up on the ADS-B transponders on Flight Radar and other sites, but this one in the middle does not.
Right there, but
look how bright it is when it goes through the clouds.
Which one are you saying is a UFO?
I think that might be a droplet on it. It's the orb, man. But it's like also you can see like it could be a helicopter because it's blinking.
The light amplification is crazy on that, though.
You can kind of see the tail of it as it goes through the clouds.
You can see the Black Hawk too, though. Look, you can see the helicopter body on the Black Hawk. You can see the long black shape of it.
I knew this raw video just like...
I want a copy of this. I want to put this into After Effects and look at it and zoom up on it and try to get a good track.
Yeah, 3 helicopters. But man, this is what the media are contacting me about. They don't want to, they don't want to talk about anti-gravity or all the classified physics that we're really trying to get out of the black world. And really talking about on a scientific level and really doing deep dives on the physics and the science of. They want to talk about this. They want this video. That's all they. 42,000 views, dude. This is. I guarantee this one's gonna hit a million.
That has 42,000 views.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
42,000. Think of all the people that watch it like 20 times. You know what I mean?
Who sent it to you, by the way? That's what I'm curious about.
It was actually a friend of mine down near Durham, Middleton, Connecticut, where this thing flew over, and he was at work. He works for a defense contractor in that area, and him and his boss saw it, and I guess he went around looking for a video. He went around looking on the Facebook pages for people, and like this video was posted, but then like I don't know, people stopped talking about it after like a day or two, and he saved it all and sent it to me.
It's got night vision. I mean, they're using night vision, obviously. So
that low light setting, maybe. Yeah.
I've seen that a million times right there.
But you can still, I'm telling you, you can see the definition on the Blackhawks, but you can't see it on that center one. You know, it could be something bigger. You know, but I've seen things around here. I've seen a Chinook carrying a tarped pallet of something underneath it that looked crazy. I was like, what the hell is that? You know, but it was a Chinook picking up a pallet at the PDX and taking it out to the airbase. You know, nothing big.
Mm-hmm.
It could be just aircraft parts or something.
Yeah, Jeremy, your crowd's mad. They don't like me on here. Well, no, some of them.
Sal Pays, so Sal Pays is going to be coming on Kurt Jamungel's channel.
Yeah, I'm excited,
we were talking
dude.
about Kurt last night.
So I came up with I gave him like a 5-page email of questions for Sal Pays. So
yeah,
expect some really detailed.
I'll be watching that one for sure when it comes out. I'll be there live. I'll be like, got my bucket of popcorn. I'm taking the whole day off.
That was Kurt Jamungel's job, man. He just sits there and reads questions. He has a way of doing it, you know, and gets paid big money for it.
Kurt's a great interviewer, man, and he asks some good hard questions, and he's not afraid to, be polite, but ask a hard question.
Polite with it, but super good at it. He's
got it freaking made.
Yeah.
Him and Lou talked for like 2.5 hours that night. I watched the whole thing. I thought it was pretty good.
Man, I wish that I knew 3 months ago what I know now from your documentary.
They used mind exercises and all kinds of shit. Kurt didn't get accused of being drunk.
Yeah. Yeah. This is going to be a good one. I'd recommend everybody pops up in there and checks that one out.
Yeah.
So, hey, I'm going to post the StreamYard link again. Tom, if you're out there, you can. Danny would love to answer your questions.
Who's that?
Yeah, ask some questions.
Great.
Come on.
Wouldn't that be great if Lou came on here?
Lou, get on here, man.
I'd love to chat to Lou. I don't understand why he's so aggressive and wants to fight all the time. I just want to talk. Like, whatever.
We didn't find anything super like aha,
No.
and I didn't see anything in this investigation that I was like aha,
What could there be? This is the public records. Everybody can go look at that. That's not what this is about, but there are some questions that he might want to address,
I want the truth, man.
Yeah. I mean, like, it seems like he was planning that whole move for a year, and I want to know why, because he's
open
to
West Virginia.
No, the same time as Encinitas, a year before he quit or so. It seems like he, made some strange moves.
Let me ask you guys something. So you find it strange? I'm going to ask you. You find it strange that the guy quits 3 years prior to retirement and doesn't retire and get a pension? You find that part strange? I'm asking you.
I find it a little strange, but I know that he doesn't not get a pension. He gets a partial pension, and he has to wait or whatever. I know he's not just
a whole pension, dude. Trust me.
Yeah. Well, right. That's a pretty big carrot to decline, right? Yeah.
Right. You want all of it. Want all of it. There's a big difference, the partial and what he was expecting. Now, do you really believe that he's going to leave this freaking pension behind, or do you think he was promised something so great that pension meant nothing?
Well, isn't that a bribe? Isn't that the graft? Are we talking about criminal actions here? Because this man was employed by the DOD at the time and an active member of the military. So we're talking military crimes as well as other things, if that's true.
Crimes? Anybody
graft 124B.
Another job.
Graft 124B, receiving compensation.
Okay, what compensation though? He wasn't.
You just said he was promised something. That it said
124. No. Well, yeah, but what I'm
124B says the promise of goods as well as the receiving of them. So I don't know. I'm not a military lawyer. I'm not saying that, but that's my opinion, Dan. That's why I think there are things.
What I'm saying is people can look for jobs when they are still working for the DOD. Most people leave there and go on.
Right, but not if you get some footage declassified to take over to your job with you. If you did that at Lockheed and went over to a different company, they'd call it industrial espionage.
Okay, well, exactly. Okay, so
Lewis is here. No, come on.
He makes this leave that's so important that you're talking about.
Come on, dude. This guy's backstage.
Well, then bring him on. I didn't know that. I got the shits over.
It says it's Lewis.
Oh, it is Lou.
Come on.
It is Lou. That's him. Bring him on.
Come on. If it's Lou, use your camera. Get your camera on, Lou.
Lou, you shaved your freaking pointy
Right. Who's got a beard now? Not a goatee, anyways. Yeah.
That's
so,
Lou. I
okay.
just talked to him. Good. Bring him on.
I'll bring him on.
That's
I'm,
Lou.
I'm sure it's one of the
Lou Von Helton, I think is his name.
spoof guys, but
Bring him
Yeah,
on.
right. He's gonna come on and say like some.
Bring him on, Jeremy.
yeah, you probably don't want to. He's probably going to try to say something to get you banned.
Jeremy, here's how you deal with the troll. You put a thing up over and delay it for a couple of seconds. Put your put something over your camera also, because you never know what he's going to do here.
Nah, I can't. Unless I told him that's the rules. They're not letting anyone on without a
No, you have it on. You talk with him in private first for a couple of
real
seconds.
name, and they gotta go on camera and show their face, man. I'm not playing this.
Oh, he won't show his face, then fuck him.
No,
Why? I wonder
show
why.
his face. No.
Yeah, don't do it. He's just going to bomb you with something and try to flag you.
Oh,
That's how
yeah.
these guys work.
It's probably Jeremy Corbell. and
Well,
company.
you got your intelligence.
Jeremy, you've got a ton of trolls. Is Jeremy Corbell and his group still trying to get
Corbell, come on, he's nobody, man. That guy was just like you said, DeLong 2.0, and he's kind of burnt now. So they might activate him again for something.
Because Bob Lazar's his first show, he has nowhere to go after that.
Yeah,
he has nowhere to go.
He really just bombed ufology. And
I'm going to do a review on that Stan Friedman debate, man. I'm going to review that for everybody.
He's going to be like the 80s rock bands in the 90s when they interview him and they're all fat and all fucked up and shit. It's going to be him, man.
Is that coward still lingering around the chat? Come on the stream or go away, weak sauce. We're done. Seriously. The TFOG, as I said in my video, that fucking other guy, the guy who doesn't even need credit.
Bring him on. Oh, I know who you mean.
Anyone wants to come on, then come on, man. I just want to.
He can. He's got a camera. He's got a very nice one for his stream, but he's just a weak person.
Aliens every night and shit like that.
Big mouth and no guts. Big mouth and no guts.
He was telling Lou what it's like to be abducted by aliens. Get the fuck out of here, man.
He probably doesn't want to come on here because I'm a little upset with him for revealing some personal information today about me, and I will just tell him right to his face.
Time, Charles. Man.
I'll just tell this guy he is.
Go back to the first 15
How
minutes.
bad was the release, man? He was
nothing. It's nothing. It's unimportant as this scrub is, but he doesn't have the balls to come on this show and face me, and that tells everybody what kind of character he has.
One of the moderators out there, he got real mad.
I actually sent this documentary to Daniel List, dark journalist, and
he's on right now. It's Friday night.
I believe he's watched it or watched part of it, and so hopefully he does some reporting and talk about it. So I don't think it's a total waste of time because we're doing some deep dives on the patent research and some of the science involved, and I guarantee you I dig deeper on the science stuff than
I love your science, Jeremy. When somebody doesn't want to come on your show and talk science, that tells me that they're trying to grift, you know?
Hey, let's bring Tom Fesser on. I want to hear about his experiences, at least the top 3 or 4 of them.
Nah, we can take that beef elsewhere. Yeah, it's
It's not a beef. I want to hear about it. I've only
it's not a beef. It's not. It's just somebody trying to ride some clout. That's all it is. It's not even worth acknowledging.
I want to hear him.
Right?
I want to hear him talk about what happens and shit like that.
We got Can't Be Defeated on here.
He's big time fighting with a guy on here.
Man.
Hey.
See, that's what's messed up. You can't even have a show.
You
got a question about Lou Elizondo?
No, but just have a few questions about some physics. Gas can be compressed really high enough to affect space-time, right? Like compressed gas or any type of like nitrogen gas or high in helium.
I don't believe compressed gas is how we affect space-time. You can use compressed gas to create a pressure differential, so you could float on you could float on compressed gas if you could find a way to compress gas.
Compressed gas will cause you to shit yourself. I know that much.
That egg-shaped Salvador Pi patent actually talked about that. There was an outer or an inner shell that had compressed gas inside of it that they would energize somehow, and then it would interact with an outer layer. I think I don't really. It's been a while since I've looked at it, but the egg-shaped one talked about that.
That warp the space-time continuum or space-time metric engineering are in these 2-layer material science type. That's where the physics lies, and it's
Cancel Anime. What's up, man?
And it's in the near field, and it deals with polarization of the vacuum, where you basically energize these vacuum states with so much energy that it polarizes.
It is great. That's where Lou is.
And you get these nonlinear effects.
I think it could work then. Like if it's compressed enough, it would resonate high enough, like you said. Because there was a patent I found that was in Korea, some inventor. I mean, it could be a bunk patent, but he was talking about, compressing gas enough to work gravity, and then like he had it in certain turns and configurations it talked about. And I don't know, I was just wondering if it was possible, because you heard of it was Brown's gas, right? It was like that special gas that is green or whatever, and it lifted the craft or whatever. You heard the story. So I think it was called Brown's gas, but it was a green gas. You heard stories about where like the planes have went into like the Bermuda Triangle and like time was shifted or something. They said they saw this gas crab or some clouds. I don't know. I was just throwing something in there. I was just curious, in a scientific way that gas if it can affect things. I've known it to. I've known that you can, if you level out the density differentials in a balloon with like the density in the air, like it's more less dense, it will stay in stagnant in the air for a long time. So
yeah, they have the magnetism changes greatly also when the sky turns green. You're talking about the Bermuda Triangle stuff. That's cool stuff.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, I think gas can affect the space-time gravity because it's a very light resonant, light frequency, deal. Like it would emit a frequency. So I would think that since it's very, very light, it could get closer to touching the space-time possibly. So
I've never heard about that part of it, but
I mean, it sounds sound. I mean, there was a India story. Some guy took like a tube, and he had it really like small at the end of it. It was like curled or something. It was really small, like it's several curls. Like picture it like stretching like a straw, and does like a little like loop-de-loop, like little miniature loop-de-loop, several of them, I guess, something like that. And it compressed the gas when he blew into it, and compressed it more and more and more somehow through the turns. And then the dude at the end of it, all of a sudden the story dropped dead, but they don't know what happened to him. They said that it resonated with his organs, and when they did the autopsy, and like it was just all like putty or whatever inside.
Hey, that stuff.
So, it's a story, but I've heard it, and I don't know where I read about it, but
they've showed these gigantic ships sinking. They've also showed planes falling out of the sky when they've had Jeremy, what type of gas was it that was coming up through the ocean and stuff like that? It was natural gas, wasn't it?
It was nitrogen.
Might be radon or argon.
Different types of natural gas, and it was knocking planes and gigantic ships out of the water. Now these ships were simulated. Certainly, they're not going to take a gigantic carrier out there. It got stuck out there not too long ago, that Evergreen or whatever.
And methane, methane clathorate. It's like these crystals that are, in the a lot of it in the Arctic too. There's trapped methane
the trapped methane, and they claim that it turns green when it gets into the sky. Right? It's the same. It sounds like part of two stories mixed together. I've never heard this compressed gas change the time-space continuum. That's impossible.
That sounds cool, though. Now you talk about it.
If you look that up, that'll come up. They've done tons of studies at different universities on this.
Jeremy, you should maybe.
Because they've been wanting to know what's going on in the Bermuda Triangle, but the Bermuda Triangle doesn't have, if you look it up, it doesn't have any more sinkings, I believe, than any other area that's similar.
On some lakes, large
Oh, this is great, dude. Top 5 methane bubble releases.
Yeah, there you go. The methane bubble release.
These people burning the fire on the lake, dude, and it's just like a friggin' torch coming out of this bubble of this lake.
I think you can you could touch fire if it's like cold enough or something. It's like called plasma fire or something. Like I've seen people like this guy was dipping his hand in lava and it didn't burn off. I don't know if they had it like at a lower like I don't know, it sounds weird, but like a lower voltage rate in the fire or something. I mean, like cold fire.
I wouldn't recommend touching plasma, would you, Jeremy?
Well, I've seen somebody do it. I mean,
what the hell are we talking about here? Do not touch plasma, folks. All right.
I've seen the guy grab the molten iron and stuff, but that's a little different. There's that.
Your
effect where you
skin
got
will
the sweat.
insulate it for several seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's interesting.
Solder. Also, you can stick your finger. You can dip your finger in it for a few seconds, but don't leave it in there.
No, well, this is just some ideas to get, like some, maybe extra methods to try later in your lab with everybody. So, Jeremiah the engineer and all that. So, you guys ever experiment with some gas or something along the lines. You could also try crystals. I've been researching about something called low frequency injection method for in a crystal or in a resonant circuit or something. I don't know much about it, but it might work, on stuff. So like I said, I've been doing looking at a bunch of topics, trying to expand my knowledge. So
you got a degree or something, or what? What's going on with you?
No, I'm just an independent researcher, just a guy with a computer. So, but I look at a lot of times.
Another one of them. No, I'm just kidding, man.
Hey, man, look what I did with my computer. I made Who's Lou.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm just a guy with a computer too, man. Don't let that ever stop you. Ever.
You're an alien scientist. So
just think, when he dies in 50 years, it'll say on Manny's grave, it'll say the guy who made Who's Lou in 2022. that can't be defeated. Can you believe that's going to happen?
You're first, man. You're going to make a Who's
I'll
Melon.
still be a damn owl. How's that sound?
Owls are cool, though.
A fucking owl.
When does Who's Melon come out?
Who's Melon? Yeah, I don't know, but maybe after Who's Tom and maybe Who's George and who are some of these other guys? But who knows, man? Who knows, man? We'll see what happens.
Come on here and have a good time and laugh and not be serious all the time. I like to come on and joke around on Saturday nights. I fucking work all week and I have to decompress, dude. You, unfortunately, you're compressing gases and changing fucking time, dude. Can you go back in time and tell me some shit, dude, or go forward in time right now? Can't be defeated because I need to know.
I don't know. I mean, I'm afraid if I can change a timeline, I might end up an alternate timeline, so I might never come back. So.
No, that's called taking ass.
I might see some weird trippy shit, like Michael Jackson might still be alive, or some other.
Yeah, this is what I'm talking about, Jeremy. This is what I'm talking about.
Something? They could be alive, in a
parallel universe.
The way things go now these days.
Hell yeah! So, just the other day,
crazy. Yeah.
Thought I saw Michael Jackson walking down the street. Now you say that.
The live chat's just hilarious too.
Yeah, alien girl. She said she was drinking tonight.
She's definitely drunk.
Is she? Yeah, when she gets drunk, she has the hots for you, dude. I'm not sure what her husband thinks of that.
I don't know, man.
Oh, look at that. Fesser's still out there. Fesser, you know what, man? Come on here and tell us
why.
Her husband not taken.
I wanted him to talk about one of his alien spaceship rides, dude.
Oh, I got a ride. I got an interesting ride. I actually wanted to tell you about it. Something called the Gravitron that they had. It was like a building or something that's fun. They said that they said that was confiscated by the police or the FBI or something because you could look it up. Back in the 80s or the 90s.
I went on one in the carnival come through town every year, and I used to like that thing. It had those roller boards.
Well, they said that thing made people reverse in age. That was the story about it. It's a conspiracy.
The Gravitron spins around really fast, and you would literally lift up against the walls, Aunt Manny.
Well, supposedly
I would.
Yeah.
Centrifugal force.
They went and got it, and that's not there no more in the 1980s. You have to Google it.
The actual Gravitron was one form of the ride, but there were other ones where the floor would fall out instead of you sliding up on panels. So they had other forms of them.
Do you know a guy by the name of Goofon? He lives in one right now. Yeah. He's our buddy, man. He lives in one down Florida.
Nice.
Goofon.
Just kidding.
Now, does MUFON have anything good though? Sometimes, at all.
Who?
MUFON. MUFON. It's just the same one, right?
No, they're two different groups. Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was GoofOn, fake.
GoofOn. No, Goofon's a show. A guy, Rich Giordano, down in Florida, has it. He's actually pretty fun to watch. He's up one night.
I love Goofon, man. I'm there all the time in
Yeah,
the chat room
Manny's
hanging
always
out.
over there.
Oh, I thought you guys were attacking Goofon.
Can't be
He's
defeated.
one of the ultimate UFO trolls. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He calls
Kinda like
himself
Jane-
the UFO bully. He's challenged Lou Elizondo to a fight. Now, I don't know.
Oh,
Like,
wow.
dude, I'm
Did
sorry.
you know this, Jeremy?
He's a goofball, man.
Jeremy, did you know? You don't know what's going on, do you? I tried to call you the other night.
I challenged Jeremy Corbell to a fight, and it got me like banned from certain sections of Alien.
Dude, I'm not bullshitting you.
He was at Alien Con with me. He must have showed them the video of me challenging him to a fight.
Rich Giordano swore the other night that he's a bad motherfucker. You sure heard him. He said that Lou threatened to take him out behind the bar. Am I bullshitting Manny or not? This is the truth.
Yeah, he was fired up. He's ready to do this whole,
challenging to a fight,
Jake
and then-
Paul, whatever thing, man, and get in the ring for charity, you know.
Look it up, dude. Go to Goofon's channel last night and the night before. Well, it was Thursday night. He challenged him to a
He did
fight.
challenge him out. He put a TikTok video out challenging Lou to a charity fight for, the Play for Ufology. He said, "Hey, Lou, if you win,
leaves
you have
ufology.
to leave." Yeah, exactly. They got to fight. They're going to fight, and the loser's out of ufology. So, and I know Rich has put his, ufology chops on the line. So we'll see if Lou's got the stones. I don't know.
I want to see Richard like
You'll
going to
see.
the
I told
gotta,
you,
like
right
make the
there,
Rocky
Goofon challenges.
video of him running up the steps,
Show
like,
it.
punching the bag, like getting ready for it.
Yeah,
Goofon
doing the
goes-
Rocky training, man. He's getting the heavy bag. He's working on the bike and getting his cardio. Like, he's motivated, man. So, either way, good for Rich, because even if he doesn't get a fight, at least he's gotten, pushed himself to get into shape and stuff, which we all should do from time to time. And otherwise, yeah, maybe they'll have a little scrape for charity. I'll buy a ticket, especially if it's going to
Like,
go.
sometimes people look different on camera. Like you meet Lou in person, and he's like 5'4", and
Oh, you gotta be careful. Little midget guys.
Yeah, but he's like 300 pounds, and it's all muscle, right? You're like, whoa.
Yeah,
he's
I
not
knew
300.
somebody
I
like
know.
that.
He's a bulldog, dude. Look at the neck on him.
Oh yeah, I bet you he was great at
I'm
wrestling.
terrified of those things, man. I stay
Well,
away from bulldogs.
Yeah, I bet he was a great
Yeah,
wrestler.
look, Rich is all skinny now. Lou claims that he was a kickboxer and all kinds of shit. If you watch his biography, which Manny has, obviously, he
We'll go.
claims he's a kickboxer and shit.
Yeah.
And a jujitsu expert.
So you got the squat guy who's powerful versus the taller guy with the range, man. That's the classic MMA matchup for a great fight. So this should make a lot, a good event for everybody to see. But I think Rich is kind of tongue in cheek with it. I don't think he's
Well,
he's not
in
really
boxing,
wanting to
they
fight.
had this big guy called Butterbean. I don't know if you heard of that.
Yeah. That was my grandpa's favorite boxer, dude, was Butterbean.
Jeremy, I gotta
that
go
guy,
out back and help unload a bike.
Didn't it make
All right.
Floyd fight him or Mary
See you again.
Mayweather? Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
Butterbean was
okay.
great, man.
Dude,
I
I'd
love
pay
it.
to see a Lou Elizondo fight. Hell yeah, anyone
Yeah.
in ufology.
Yeah, I would too, man. That sounds
I
like
want
a
to see
great
Dan
time, man.
fight Bob Lazar. No, that would not be a fair
Come
match.
on, man. That ain't even. Yeah,
Dan's
Bob's
like a
not a
biker.
fighter.
Bob's not a fighter. Dan's like 6'4" and a biker, dude.
He just be a one punch and then the ground. It'd be the
Did
worst
that
fight ever.
contraption Bob Lazar ever make work? I mean, it said it kind of did. I don't know. Like the way they made the hydrogen gas or hydrogen fuel from the excess.
Jeremy, me and Bob would run out and get some hose, and that would be all she wrote.
That's it, man. He knows where to get them, apparently.
Yeah.
He's the pimp daddy master.
I think he did have it. You're talking about his hydrogen rocket car that he was driving around.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah, he made some contraption with like two tubes and all this conglomerate, complicated setup and everything, and it was like,
About UFOs all night. You'd have a great old time.
Jeremy, you would. Are you still? Oh my God, you were going to fight. That's right, Corbell. That you
I
would have
challenged
that crazy
Corbell to a fight because I was so pissed off at all his bullshit.
You're in good shape, dude. That would be your advantage, even though he's a jujitsu guy.
Uh-oh.
I do wrestling. I know some karate too. Yeah, I could fight.
Taekwondo.
Jeremy's one of them guys that's like doesn't have an ounce of fat on his body, but drinks like 13 beers an hour.
Oh no, that's like
I
that's all you need, man. You can't feel nothing when you get hit. You just keep going.
Beers, I have to stop. Like 5 beers, I'm good. Like that's like my max. I'm not like one of these guys. I know guys that can put down a 30 rack, but I'm not one of them. at all.
No.
It'd be cool to get Rich on here, but he's I don't know where he's at.
He's around. All you gotta do is message him.
Yeah, maybe I'll send him the link.
I do have a question about cryptography and quantum cryptography, Jeremy Rise. Was that how you pronounce your last name? Rise?
Yes, yeah.
I'll be right
Right.
back, guys. I need a quick second.
Yeah, regarding like, it was like the, not Shor's algorithm. I can't remember the name, but it's like the latest post-quantum cryptography. It's like 15, it's basically all exponents, right? With logarithms. So it's like you take your base number, and then you multiply that many times over with your exponent. But like to get your exponent, you subtract like the bit number, like the maximum bit. Like you got like damn it, and I'm thinking like 4068 or something like that. I can't remember. 2048, and then like there's a 4000 bit version. So you would take those two, and then you get your exponent key, right? So I've been trying to figure out all about that. If that's what all like quantum cryptography is just trying to find the exponent, like the discrete logarithm problem. So they said that you guys kept raising that up, or they kept, you and I can't remember his name that mentioned it. It was the last show. So they keep raising that up, and that's basically all cryptography is. So, but I was just trying to make sure if that.
There's a lot more to cryptography than that. If you think that's all cryptography is, then there's
I don't know.
There's lots of ways to hide messages. One of the best ways is the one-time pad. That's like the classic, unhackable. Unless you have the pad, you can literally translate any message to any other message, and it could, unless you have the one-time pad key. It's an encryption technique that cannot be cracked because it requires the use of
modular addition. Okay, but it's based on modular addition, and that's not just exponent alone, is it?
No, it's just modular. But there's ciphers, and there's ways to to decipher and recipher these things based on this key distribution. And unless you know what the key is, then you're never going to be able to hack the code, because it could literally be translated to any.
Yeah. Well, this is cool because like I heard that exponents are used, like large amounts of exponent or data is used for like also in like categorizing all the signals in the background radiation and stuff. And like if you were to like somehow calculate all that, you would have like keys to the universe, basically, and like all the cosmic radiation, not just like, I'll probably, I guess, beyond time or incorporating time, like above gravity, the time dimension, as you always hear like the Montauk Project and stuff and all that.
Yeah, well, I think that Skinwalker Ranch was Montauk Project 2.0, and
I think so too. A lot of weird stuff goes over there, and
I think what they did is they did a horizontal mine, a drilling, and they set up a cable underneath the whole
yeah,
and that's where they're broadcasting from. That's why they can't triangulate it. That's why I have some theories of how you can explain like all the weird phenomenon out there.
Yes. No, I totally believe it. Like I've seen weird stuff, like as far as UFOs. Even where I live at, I actually thought I saw 2 UFOs, and I wasn't drunk or on meds or nothing. Like, and
Stranger Things was the movie. Stranger Things. I'm not the movie, the TV show.
Yeah. But I know since like the Philadelphia, like with how I got known about it was the Al Bielek guy. Like I don't know how much there's truth to that, but that's how I learned about it. And I was in the chat with Jeremiah the engineer, and they said that you guys used higher frequency than the Montauk supposedly used. That's what he said when he was talking to Hutchinson about when they used that polyphase type gun on the Gulf of Mexico, the Gulf of Mexico, when they were supposedly like he changed the resonance of all the radiation, and he had like a 13 phase gun. So like they said that was much higher than this, radar station, which is cool. So frequency basically is you have to align, like all superconducting is, and all basically they trying to access the gravity spectrum is basically all based on aligning the phases, right? And you have to cancel all the amplitudes deconstructively, the perfect deconstructing to get like the Casimir effect to access it.
So that would be a good question for next week's conference. And,
okay.
It's a whole talk on the Casimir effect next weekend. So I'm going to move off these scientific questions. Thank you for joining us temporarily. I want to get some more people on and really talk, keep the subject focused on Lou. And sorry.
No, it's okay. I'm about to get off anyways. Like I'm going to watch still, but I'll be in the chat box. I'm doing stuff.
Yeah, I'll have you on again sometime, man.
Hey, on the topic of Camp Hero and stuff, there's a guy named Dark Hour Paranormal who I'm friends with, and he had done some research into it, and he actually went out there and was looking at the facilities and toured it and stuff nowadays. He's not far from it, and I think he's planning a follow-up next year to go back down there and check out, different things. But he already did a walkthrough, and he's got some recent footage of the place. It's pretty cool. He did a great job on it.
Yeah, I've been meaning to go down. I want to go down there this summer. I'm planning a trip down there, so if anyone wants to go with me, maybe we could all do a field trip expedition out to Camp Hero at Montauk.
That'd be a fun place to go hang out for a couple of days and just romp around and check it out and see what's going on there. And I know a lot of different paranormal investigators are interested in these different facilities, but
yeah, Walter Bosley said he might go out there with me and use his ID so we can actually go into the building and poke around.
Oh yeah, definitely, because a lot of it's still locked up and off limits. Yeah, but there are a few buildings you can get into. He like that bunker there looks like it's sealed.
Dude, what's under airport there. Intelligence. I just could go in there with him and be like, yeah, we're just here.
I'm curious to hear his take, man, after he's seen who's Lou. I really do, because I think in a lot of ways that Walter's got the credentials that Lou wants to have or claims that he has. So it should be interesting to see what he thinks, man. If you hear from him, tell him to tell me or get in touch with me after he gets a chance to watch it. I'd love to chat. But
totally,
Montauk's pretty cool, man. There's some really interesting stories. Like you said, it's kind of Skinwalker could be the part 2 of this, or was Montauk maybe was that just a big money sink too, or God, I don't know the timing of it all, man. And why did all this start after World War II and paperclip? Why weren't we interested in these things before that? What do you think about that one?
Well, I think it started with that guy Cameron and the MK Ultra project, and they were listening to a lot of this whacked out doctors' ideas of mind control and all this stuff, and they did a lot of it. They sunk a lot of money into different sub projects, doing experiments on a lot of electronic warfare technologies, and what we're seeing now is the 40-year R&D result of those programs. The continuous flashbang grenades, the projecting plasma balls, and 3D graphic displays in midair, microwave auditory effect, the LRAD, active denial kind of systems.
Yeah, I've seen it like projectiles that can shoot around a corner too. It's like a little tiny missile that comes in as it's going around a corner. It launches a side projectile out, so you can actually get something around corners and stuff. And I'm like, oh my God, what are we doing? Like we should get some green energy first and other things before we have a gajillion different ways to maim and hurt someone.
Yeah, people that are hiding from you.
Right, that are hiding. Oh man. Yeah, look at that cement embankment and stuff. That looks like the batteries that we used to have up here, that we still have, up in the Northwest, that were artillery emplacements on certain choke points on rivers and things. But that concrete's probably a couple feet thick,
Yeah. Yeah, they have some pretty crazy forts up here too, like in Castle Island and Boston, and Fort Adams down in Newport, where the Newport Jazz Festival is.
Oh, nice.
Every year there's a huge fort down there with massively thick walls. And
Well, yeah, these things were designed to withstand air raids, and massive aerial bombardment of high
and naval
explosives.
gun bombardments.
Hmm. Giant shells as well. Yeah, the big cannons. Perfect place to set up something that you don't want to get out, like in Stranger Things or something like that. Like if you had some kind of weird experiment that you wanted to keep locked up, this would be ideal.
Yeah, it's on the tip of the island. There's only one way in, one way out, the one access road. Easy to security. Like what's somebody gonna like take a boat out there and it's all friggin' dangerous cliff and rocks. Like,
Yeah, not with the radar and stuff, and things like that. Probably not, that you couldn't get real close to it without them knowing. And plus, it's isolated, so if you have to just melt the whole thing down somehow with some kind of ordinance, you can. Maybe, I don't know. That might be a bit much.
if you're that extreme. I mean, I think that there was definitely some stuff going on out there. It sparked a lot of theories and stuff. I don't believe necessarily everything that Al Bielek and the other guy Terry Nichols, was the other guy Nichols?
Yeah, you can't believe it all without evidence, but a lot of it, you read their stories and you're like, I don't find that hard to believe. Like I could see how that could happen, but you do need some kind of evidence too. And that's where we're at nowadays with things that are going on. You can't just say whatever you want and expect people not to call you on it,
Like the 5G stuff too, like it's similar to what went on there. A lot of people not understanding, amplitude and energy of electromagnetic waves and that kind of technology. Really, it's not easy stuff. It's different wavelengths interact on different, with different size things. So it's there's no clear cut explanation for some of the effects we see sometimes. So.
Wasn't we were talking about energy earlier, and I believe wasn't Tesla's world system, wasn't that basically acknowledging that the Earth is a giant dynamo, right? Like as the water slogs around and the atmosphere and pressures things change, we get electricity that's created. Hence, we have lightning. And so that's kind of what I'm talking about. There's a massive amount of power out there if we just know how to tap into it. To do different things. We've got the tidal energies. We could have tidal generators. We've got wind generators, solar generators, but we could also be harnessing the raw power that just is shot out of the sky. So
and the sun, yeah.
And the sun, oh my God, if we could get up there and harness, out of the atmosphere to harness that, I mean, you're talking Dyson sphere or something at some point, or a ring of solar, collectors all the way around. And, I could talk about stuff like that all day and talk about how we could have little drones that could go out to asteroids and mine and make little satellites, self-replicating things to set up a system, like a network of telescopes and sensors around our planet, kind of like Starlink, but satellites, and to identify all the asteroids and stuff that's out there and typify them so we can identify which ones we want to go get to and harvest them, because that's coming. Asteroid harvesting is coming really soon, and it's all going to be automated. We're not going to be sending men out there. We're going to be sending robots.
Or think about, instead of, chemtrailing the sky to block out the sun or whatever the conspiracy theorists think is going on, we just put a bunch of satellites with mirrors or mylar shades in space so it would shade the Earth and reflect the sun towards, a moon-based power plant,
Or collect it and put it in batteries to be used in those little drones that we're building. You can just collect it all too. You can reflect it, get it away from us, or use it. But
and curb global warming and the heating, because this in a lot of these models the sun is the predominant factor. There is some nuclear activity that goes on in the Earth that's been providing a lot of heat that's slowly dying off. The core heat of the Earth is going to slowly die off over the next, a couple 100,000 years and stuff. But there's ways that we can save the planet and moderate, Earth's temperature indefinitely, so that we don't turn into a Hoth or a Venus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. But Also, we got to also as a species, and it's something that Elon says all the time, is we got to be looking to get off the planet to ensure humanity, because at some point something's going to take the planet out, and so. Yeah, and at some point something's going to take the solar system out. So then the next step is not just off the planet; it's out of the solar system. So
intergalactic too.
You got it, and we're seeing it, man. It's like the technologies that they have. You see it every day. They've got ion thrusters nowadays that can basically stay in the upper atmosphere indefinitely with a small bit of oxygen that they collect up there and separate into or use. Yeah, it's amazing. We have
Melt
so many
asteroids. Yes, we can or project. You could use solar sails to project things. Like to send them far too. I don't know.
Yeah, when I was researching Enceladus after Cassini went over, and checked out the water plumes and stuff, I realized, I was like, man, there's so much, there's a whole ocean underneath there. And there's actually a test that they're doing on an underwater drone that they tested in Antarctica, and they tested it in the frozen ice underneath Antarctica and the lakes down there to kind of see. They're saying, hoping it's similar, but it's completely AI driven. This drone would go down and map out this whole thing and then come back up for power as it needed and things like that, But Enceladus is what, it's got to be a thick crust. I don't know how thick it is, 100 miles, maybe more. So they're going to have something to burn down through that to get into there at some point. I want to check it out. I want to know what's underneath there.
Jeez, man. All the guys getting tons of it's all the same. I don't know. I'm glad we get different views, and I'm glad to have you on and share this. Definitely learned some things from this film. Again, you did a deep dive, and it's not like anything comes out like a smoking gun, being like, "Aha, he's working counterintelligence, and he's a bad guy," spreading disinfo and all this. No, man, there's some things that he's done that have gotten a lot of attention to this field and this stuff, but exactly where these paths lead, I tell you, it doesn't go deep into the scientific programs and deep into the intelligence file on this thing, because this whole stuff goes way deeper, and it almost looks like this is or could be, as Daniel List, dark journalists, and others think, an intelligence front for to keep this a convenient distraction to promote this threat narrative, which is friendly to the defense and intelligence establishments.
If you want to motivate some junior Congress people, then that whole threat thing is a good way to back up the other pressure that you're putting on them to do what you want.
Indeed. And we know that some serious research goes, and 22 million ain't going to get you really much as far as government waste goes. That 22 million, I could do a lot with that, but there's more stuff going on with this research and stuff than people are aware of. So just want to point that out.
Yeah, and the timing, you got to look at it of all of it too. Like the 2016, 2017 time is when a lot of these plays were moved, or the moves were put into place, like the PI patents, Elizondo heading to TTSA. What else happened around there? Oh, the international IMRF treaty that Trump let us out of with Russia that allowed hypersonic missiles. All of these things happened right around the same time, and the tax codes did too. And so if you go and look for the defense industry, I think after 2017 through 20, I didn't see any companies paying tax on international arms sales for those 3 years, whereas there had been a roughly 30% tax on those sales before that. So there was all kinds of moves that were being put into place at the same time. And it may have been a precursor to knowing that the 20-year war in Afghanistan was coming to an end and trying to preemptively replace that cash cow. It's hard to tell, but all the moves were there. Geopolitically, everything, it makes sense. So we'll have to see what other people think about that.
Oh. So, Laura, I got one more guy coming on. Maybe this,
LLP.
LLP, yeah.
Glad. What's up, buddy?
Hey, what's up, man? Hey, I just wanted to come on and say I appreciate the time that you spent, and I thought the documentary was great. I know you got some hate on some certain things, but I thought you got the overall point across. So I just wanted to come on and say, man, bravo on it. Keep up the great work. Don't give up. And fuck the haters.
Thank you, man. That means a lot, dude. And you know, if people hadn't been as supportive, then it would have been a lot harder because there's been a lot of backlash and, you know, people trying to mischaracterize my work in order to justify fighting it instead of just looking at it for what it is. And it did kind of go over a lot of people's heads. They didn't really understand what it was, and they just looked at it at its surface and were like, this is boring. I don't get it. But a lot of people who have been around and seen this stuff going down for years and were always kind of questioning and said, hey, wait a minute. You've got some good questions here. You might be onto something here. And so that's what you got to go with. You know, it's like any piece of art. You get out of it what you want. You know, not everyone thinks the Mona Lisa is a fine painting. So
that's true, man.
I appreciate you, brother.
But, the videos being taken, the timelines, all that stuff is wild. That's stuff that wasn't, I don't think that many people knew how it went. You know what I mean? The timeline of the videos being declassified and how they got to where they ended up.
It's an interesting story that, you know, and it looks like it was a process that took the better part of a year, you know. So, you know, it wasn't just a fire and forget one time thing. This was an orchestrated plan that was executed near flawlessly, but it wasn't flawless. And there is obviously paper trails that were exposed here, and they were right under everybody's eyes. And that's what I want to know is why didn't these people who were pushing this guy, like from day one, George Knapp or Leslie Kean, why didn't they find this stuff? I found it. Why couldn't they? Because they didn't look. They didn't look.
Like the what was it? The declassification forms to get the videos. You know, they talk about balloons and drones and all that stuff. So
and cognitive dissonance is what it is.
Yeah, so that form John Greenwald got by FOIA, but it's been known by the public for a long time because when John gets stuff out, everybody knows it. You know, they're like, "Oh, look what John got this week for us." It's like having Santa Claus come by and drop a goodie in your stocking.
Is.
You know,
I'll tell you what, man. His guest last night shit all over the Wilson Davis docs. I mean, he shredded them to pieces.
Yeah, I'm about halfway through that interview. I was watching it this morning. I'm gonna have to go back and finish it tonight.
Yeah,
but I was just like,
sorry
wow.
for the spoiler. But hey, man, but you did great work, and you know, man, we always got your back, and keep on keeping on.
Thank you, man. That means a ton.
All right, man. Y'all have a good night. I'll catch you in the chat.
Much love and respect.
Go ahead, Bernie.
Please continue.
No, go ahead, man. I've been talking since I got here.
Much love and respect for what you're doing, my friend. And you know, when there's hate, it means you're doing something right. And like YouTube still hasn't restored my main channel, but still trucking away, making more discoveries in the HHO monoatomics. And then my partner channel, Mike with Faraday Research, he's got 1,000% gains with his latest pulse motor that he's built. So we're working away, and you know, you just got to keep at it. And when the truth resonates, and you know you're onto something.
Yeah, I agree with you there, man. If I was so far off base, then there would be zero response and people would just ignore my questions. But, you know, the response shows that there's something there, and the overwhelming support of people have been like, hey, I've wondered those same things. Why, you know, over the years, or at least one of the questions, you know, like I haven't talked to one person who didn't watch my film that didn't learn one fact about Lou Elizondo that they didn't have. And I don't have anything original. It's just, you know, it's all out there in one place. And that's maybe what it needed. So I hope people run with this. I want people to take my research and run with it. If somebody sees something that they can take and go with it, I don't care. It's not about credit. It's about getting that truth out and getting the answer to these questions, you know, because this man is telling the world he's going to bring full disclosure. And we have been promised that from people in this community time and time again, and been duped and misled and used and manipulated. And that's exactly, in my opinion, what he's doing. It's just manipulating kind people who want to believe. And it's predatory and it's ugly and it's vile. And that's all I got to say.
Right.
You know, like,
thank you for keeping the community accountable in that regard, because it's like so many people know that there's truth to this whole subject, but then they get led astray and just get taken advantage of, wanting to connect to something that relates to their own experiences that they've had. And then these predators are just, it's insane and it's ridiculous. And God bless your work and Jeremy's work, and you guys continuing to call out the fakes and the scams.
Thanks so much, Bernie. We're gonna put you in the back room. We're gonna go to a live chat, guys. Here's the StreamYard link. I'm gonna close down this stream. We're hitting 2 hours. I don't like to really go over the 2-hour mark because it gets.
Jeremy, let me answer real quick. People in the chat are asking where they can find Who's Lou. You can find it on the who'sloumovie.com at www.who'sloumovie.com. And you can also find it on my Odyssey channel, and there's a link to that on my YouTube channel, on my Twitter. I'm trying to make it as easy for people to find as possible. So
yep, links are in the description of this video down below. So definitely go down, click on those. Check out the Who's Lou movie. Go to Area 503 on YouTube, subscribe, and wait for that Who's Lou documentary to come back up online and here hopefully in a couple of days, and maybe even write to YouTube and help us out with the effort to get that uncensored. So like once again, everyone, the StreamYard link is right there in the chat. We'd love to see you all hop on backstage for the after party. So much love and respect. Good night, everyone, and we'll see you backstage.
Have a good night, everybody. Take care.